Thank you very much for inviting me in this Green League event, and specifically Eva for inviting me. So I would like to discuss, after the video you have heard just now, some issues about Lindane Lindane and HCH in the member states, problems and the solutions. I've done this presentation together with the HCH in EU team, and I'll also explain you who that are. What are we talking about? Who are we? IHPA, the International HCH and Pesticide Association. What have we done? The project, the new running project, HCH in EU. Parliament workshop planned on 16th November 2021 in Brussels. Then the 15th forum, which we organize probably, and it's planned in October 2022. And what can you do to support this work? Who are we? Myself, I was head of the soil remediation department of the company TAU, a consulting company in the Netherlands, in 1986. And straight away after I started, actually, I was confronted with the management and development of a concept for the elimination of 200,000 tons of HCH in soil and in waste in the eastern region of the Netherlands. I'll show you some photos directly afterwards. In 1991, we've organized the first time the International HCH and Pesticide Forum, also to get people in Europe together and see what this problem is, because we were not aware how big this problem was. In 1998, we established officially the International HCH and Pesticide Association, and we registered it in 2002 as a non-profit foundation in the Netherlands. Here you see the photo of the HCH in the eastern part of the Netherlands. It was about 5,000 tons, what doesn't seem very much, but in the end, so many years later, when we started to clean up, it was more than 200,000 tons spread all over all the places. The next photo, you see how our storage place was built up on this contaminated soil and waste and the different classes. Here we had HCH, but HCH mixed with metals and also mercury. And these classes we separated also to make a good treatment. Here we can see these 200,000 tons, and all has been treated over a period of 20 years, also testing the different technologies, because HCH is 3/4 chlor, and it was difficult to treat that, and it will corrode any kind of treatment. So it's very difficult, and we found solutions for that. So what have we done over all these years? We started to organize this forum, and we did it 14 times in about 30 years, 2 times in Poland. And Poland is very important that here we cooperated with the Plant Protection Institute in Poznan. And here Poland solved, in direct cooperation with the Plant Protection Institute, with the Geological Institute, over 50 years, Poland was really enabling the solution of this problem. And I'm wondering, it was the first country in Europe. And why is it not possible now? What we did was Lindane and HCH issues in Europe and globally. And the other issue, it's called obsolete and POPs pesticide, what I just told you, in Poland. We dealt with it in Central Europe, but also in Eastern Europe, in the Caucasus and Central Asian republics. Who we helped? We went to everybody who owns this problem, and UN organizations, countries, regions, private companies. If they were serious that they wanted to solve this problem, we have always been supporting them. Now about the HCH in EU project. It's a EU project, on a pilot project, and you can see here there are 3 companies we got together here. TAU in the Netherlands, a consulting company, also working in the whole of Europe, but the main office in the Netherlands. CDM Smith is the main office in Germany, also had some offices all over Europe. And Sarga, a part of the Aragonese government in Spain. These 3 organizations, they were the main players, and I have been supporting them and backing up all the work they've been doing. What were the tasks and the objectives of this project? We find, first, we had to make an EU wide inventory on the production side, waste disposal, landfills, and so on. And here we had to look at what is now the magnitude of this problem in HCH and Lindane in the member countries. But also we had to give the sustainable management of these sites a higher priority. And we had to eliminate the environmental impact of these contaminated sites. The second part was very practical, where we really had to help 6 authorities which own these sites and help them to implement the sustainable management of these sites. So very practical, and also on basis of contract, they had to sign this, and we had to deliver their help. And we had to also to give and provide good examples on the management of Lindane and HCH. Now, a small overview about how the inventory was made. You can see the bottom. You see the design of the geographic information model. It's an enormous lot of data in 27 countries. So we had to design this whole thing. We had to have the data input, the verification, and so on, and finally have this published. So you can see the coordination and data collection of the sites, the draft country reports, and then get all the input from parties all around. We call this the outreach. I show you also the next picture about that. We try to get as many as people and organizations involved to give feedback. And due to COVID, of course, it was not possible. And we did it with webinars. Finally, then we had the final reports. And also the last step was actually the characterization of the high-risk sites, which were the important ones, which need to be dealt with. Here you can see in the reach out what we asked to all kind of people we could reach. So we were looking in the contaminations, the former owners, the current owners, the time this factory was active, the size and type of location, the number, the volume of HCH handled, remediation activities, and so on. There we wanted data, we wanted input. The second task was the services for 6 sites. Here you see the sites, one in the Czech Republic, one in Winsenheim in France, in the Alsace. Then there was a big floodplain of the Mulde River in Saxony-Anhalt in Germany. Then we had the big floodplain of the Sacco River in Italy, south of Rome. And we had in Aragon, in Sabagnanico, the Sardas and Sabagnanico landfill, huge landfill with HCH, and the Incinosa factory, which had to be cleaned up. Huge problem. And the last one, Oporino, in Galicia, a waste landfill site on the production site in Spain. Huge issues, which has to be dealt with. What was the result of our EU inventory? We had originally, as IHPA, collected over 45 sites in Europe where we were sure there was HCH pollution. And from this basis, we started to work, and we could see that we came out with more than 240 sites in the countries. Huge number, production sites, processing sites, disposal sites, and so on. Here you see the map with an indication of where these locations are. They're all over the place. Main issues are Germany, France, Spain. These are the biggest. What an outreach. It's of course difficult to get people, to address people, also if you cannot have physical meetings. So we really tried to get the different parties involved. We approached academia. We looked at in the data also for licenses and production. So we looked really where have been licenses made for this, for HCH and Lindane, and could find them. The country administrations, the communities, the regions, and the national authorities, the industrial partners asked the companies if they still had been doing this. NGOs, of course, concerned citizen groups. The publications were important. And also EU authorities, the different organizations, EU Commission, but also the EU the Environmental Agency in Copenhagen, and the different UN bodies. So we tried also for them to give input what we produce, and via the webinars see what comments they had. Now, one big example of such a factory here, just that you get another imagination. This is the Lindane production going on in 1972 of the Ugel Kuhlmann factory at the other side of Basel in France. And you see here the huge amount of HCH. It's white. You can see it's like snow all around. It was just blowing away into the Rhine. It was draining into the Rhine. But also after several years, when the factory was closed, this material disappeared, has been spread everywhere. And afterwards, this site, you can see it here, in 2014, Novartis, a pharmaceutical company, decided to use this site and to clean up this place. This was a complicated remediation. Unexpectedly, there was more than 300,000 tons of waste and soil had to be excavated, but in special conditions. You can see here the tents next to the river, 3 big tents which were made. They were under pressure, sub-pressure, and all the emissions were captured and in special filters. And here was an enormous monitoring network also that no smell was very dirty, the dust was even more dirty and also dangerous. So here was a lot of work to be done. It was planned for a couple of years. At the end, this job took 6 years and more than 300 million euros have been spent. And just to tell you this size, these sites are mega sites. They're huge, there are a lot of amounts, so 50, 100, 200 million euros are standard and you have to spend it. So you end up in billions if you want to solve the European problem. How are we going to finalize this project? We are preparing now a guidance for problem owners, which includes a lot of technical issues which we've learned. We have lessons learned, specific cases we indicate. We look about finances and what are the clever ways for funding, because that's important for the region and the country that they find this help. We are finalizing all the reports. We sit with the whole GIS database, which we have to hand over to the EU Commission and have to be publicly available. That is the plan of the Commission. We make a final workshop with the EU Commission, but also with these concerned 6 problem owners, regions, and we will present the results in the EU Parliament workshop on 16 November. I show you just what we have been doing about 6 years ago, our last forum in Zaragoza, where we visited here the Sabagnanico site with the whole team which was willing to go there. And we had a lot of political commitment from the Aragon government, but also other governments, international organizations, World Bank, GEF, UN, UNDP, but also a lot of local politicians. So here is a lot which we could do. And our plan now to have our next forum, the last forum probably for us, planned in October 2022. And here we will present all the ongoing project on HCH in Lindane, which we sparked off due to our pressure to the European Commission. The HCH EU project, which I have described. The EU Lindane is a European regional network. And here you have cooperation between 6 regions, South Bohemia and Czechia, Aragon and Galicia and Spain, the Lazio region in Italy, Silesia here in Poland. There is the site of Rudna-Gora, Saxony-Anhalt in Germany, all mostly on HCH and Lindane problem. There is another project in Aragon, which is called EU Live Surfing, and it deals with Dinaples. And Dinaples is a specific water problem. It's so heavy, it's like tar, which goes down in the aquifer and lies around the aquifer and creeps towards any source. This is a special job, very complicated to solve this, but they are working here in Sabagnanico in Aragon. Another last project is the EU POPWAT, POPs in water. And here it deals with HCH and Lindane, with wetlands, natural treatment of water. And here they have experience now made in Rudna-Gora, again in Jaworzno, in Poland, and the HCH site in Czech Republic. We will have other POPs pesticide, but also POPs, PCB, and other kind of experience of treatment and discussions how to deal with this. This is what we can offer. Now, we can solve this problem, but with all these mega sites. But more has to be done now. The main step has now set on the high European level, but we need now, of course, authorities of the member states to do this inventory in each country and to prioritize these urgent cases and eliminate the threats. That's the big task. We need civil society to stand up and push this process and be like a control organization that the authorities will do this. And remember, civil society has been the start to get this problem on the agenda. Specifically, the contribution of the Ecologistas in Acción in Spain, they have pushed this issue forward with complaints to the parliament, and in the petition committee, they have been discussing, and this committee pushed the setup of this project, which is now to be finished before the end of the year. Each country can use our guidance, which we will propose, and this help will help enough to get funds, how to do and find these mega sites. I think you here can mobilize your society in Poland and push that this mega site, Ruta Góra, will be dealt with. The government has not been able to do it. Local organizations, regional organizations have not been able to do anything. This is a lost site and needs to be tackled because it's dangerous and spreading. Here, just an overview of the different stakeholders here, which we think are important to get a national platform. And here we will need, and you have to build up, at least in Poland, an ecological network for the ecological bombs. And I think your own example of the Polish national platform on agriculture, which Eva and her people have been setting up, I think is a good example to get this going on the bombs. A good example is now just new, the last news on Slovak Republic. Here on the 7th of August, the ministry announced a fund of 300 million euros to address these environmental problems. So also Slovakia is moving forward. So that's a good thing. So I think I want to thank you. I think you can do it, and you have to do it. And I wish you good luck. And if there are any questions, I hope we can discuss it. Thank you so much.